Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, and today we're stepping into a world that feels like it shouldn't exist outside of horror movies, secret archives, and late-night ghost hunting shows. These are the stories that scientists hate discussing, museum curators whisper about behind closed doors, and researchers cautiously tiptoe around. Because sometimes, whether we like admitting it or not, history leaves behind objects that seem to carry something more than dust and age. Something heavier. Something darker, something that feels almost aware. Now, are these objects genuinely cursed? Or is it all just coincidence interwoven into compelling folklore? Well, that's for you to decide. My job is just walk you through the stories that have terrified owners, driven investigators away, and in some cases, convinced even the most skeptical minds that something unexplainable may be attached to these artifacts. Let's begin our journey with the infamous story of a small wine cabinet once purchased at an estate sale. At first glance, it looked harmless. Just an ordinary wooden box with a few personal items tucked inside. Strands of hair, coins from the 1920 SA goblet, a dried rosebud, and a small statue etched with the word Shalom. But the man who bought it quickly realized this wasn't an ordinary antique. Nightmares plagued him. Food visitors felt sick or terrified after being near it. When he gifted the box to his mother, she suffered a stroke that same day. Soon after, the box passed through several owners, each reporting strange happenings, shadowy figures, broken light bulbs, and emotional disturbances. Eventually, paranormal investigator Zach Baggins acquired the item, now known as the Dybbuk box, and placed it in his haunted museum. The story gained even more attention when Post Malone reportedly handled the box, and shortly afterward experienced a series of dangerous incidents, fueling rumors that the curse is very real. From a wooden box, we move to one of the most chilling archaeological discoveries of the 20th century, the frozen body of a man now called Nazi the Iceman. Found high in the Alps, his remarkably preserved remains became a scientific sensation, but fascination soon turned into fear. Nearly everyone who played a major role in discovering or studying him died unexpectedly. Some from accidents, others from mysterious illnesses, and one who suffered a fatal heart attack shortly after attending the funeral of another victim of the so-called curse. People joke about mummy curses all the time, but the death toll surrounding Otzi's discovery became difficult to ignore. Even skeptics admit the pattern is unsettling. Those who got too close to the ancient body often met strangely premature ends. From a frozen mummy, we move to a gemstone shimmering in deep blue, beautiful enough to be placed in royal collections, and dangerous enough to be feared for centuries. I'm talking about the legendary Hope Diamond. Today, it sits safely behind protective glass in a museum, admired for its rare color and staggering value, but its beauty conceals a violent history. According to legend, the diamond was stolen centuries ago from the statue of a Hindu goddess, unleashing a curse on anyone bold enough to hold it. Owners throughout history were met with disaster, executions, mysterious illnesses, betrayal, family tragedies, and in the most dramatic stories, people being literally torn apart. While historians point out exaggerations in some retellings, one thing remains consistent. The diamond's chain of ownership is paved with misfortune. Even replicas have made people uneasy, as if the shape alone carries a shadow. Not all cursed objects sparkle, though. Some look innocent, like a child's toy, and that brings us to a doll with a reputation that rivals Annabelle. His name is Robert. Given to a boy named Jean Otto more than 100 years ago, Robert quickly became the source of strange rumors. Jean claimed the doll spoke to him. Furniture moved on its own. Night after night, Jean's parents heard their son screaming, insisting that Robert was responsible for the chaos. Even in adulthood, Jean kept the doll close, speaking to it as if it were alive, treating it as more companion than toy. Visitors claimed to see Robert's expression change or his position shift when no one was looking. After Jean's passing, the doll was donated to a museum, where guests began writing apology letters after taking photos without permission. The belief is that Robert punishes those who disrespect him, and based on the hundreds of apology notes pinned to the walls, many people certainly think his curse is real. Moving deeper into history, we come to a peculiar ring discovered in an Egyptian tomb later known as the Atlantis ring. It had unusual geometric markings, unlike typical Egyptian design, leading some to believe it had origins predating recorded history. The ring's modern owner, archaeologist Howard Carter, famously opened the tomb of King Tut, an event surrounded by its own string of mysterious deaths. While many on the team fell victim to accidents, illnesses, or freak events, Carter remained unharmed. He credited his safety to the ring, believing it protected him from whatever force haunted the tomb. Was the ring cursed? Or was it, as Carter insisted, a protective talisman that counteracted a greater curse? No one knows. But replicas of the ring sell today, with people claiming it brings both strange luck and unsettling energy. Up next is a rather ordinary-looking wooden chair, but one drenched in the violent legacy of a man named Thomas Busby. Sentenced to death for murder in the early 1700s, Busby's final request was to have one last drink at his favorite pub. When he finished, he reportedly placed a curse on his beloved chair, declaring that anyone who sat in it would die. And according to numerous stories, many who dared to sit in the chair met exactly that fate. Workmen, soldiers, delivery drivers, each passing away shortly after sitting in it. The pattern became so disturbing that the pub eventually donated the chair to a museum, where it now hangs suspended from the ceiling to prevent anyone from accidentally triggering the curse again. Now, while Annabelle may be the most famous haunted doll in pop culture, the real Annabelle is far more unsettling than her porcelain movie counterpart. A college student received the doll as a gift from her mother, and soon after, strange things began happening. The doll changed positions. Handwritten notes appeared. Dark stains resembling blood showed up on its fabric. When a friend attempted to investigate, he claimed the doll attacked him, leaving scratches. Eventually, demonologists Ed and Lorraine Warren took the doll, claiming it was inhabited not by a child's ghost, but by a demonic entity. They attempted an exorcism, failed, and sealed the doll inside a blessed glass case where she remains today, one of the most feared artifacts in the Warren Occult Museum. From haunted dolls, we return to ancient relics, specifically pieces of stone taken from the sacred formation known as Uluru in Australia. Tourists often ignored warnings and pocketed small fragments as souvenirs. But soon after, letters began arriving. Apology letters. Visitors wrote that they had suffered severe bad luck, relationship failures, financial ruin, or illness after taking the stone. Many begged to return the pieces, hoping the curse would be lifted. The sheer number of letters convinced even skeptics that perhaps it's best not to disturb a sacred site, even if the only punishment is the weight of collective belief. Next, we travel to Italy to uncover the story of a silver vase crafted in the 15th century. It was given to a young bride who died clinging to it on her wedding night. She used her dying breath to swear vengeance, and from that moment on, misfortune followed the vase like a shadow. Each new owner died, sometimes within months. After being rediscovered in the 1980s, it passed through multiple hands, each owner meeting a sudden and mysterious end. Eventually, authorities sealed the vase away, its location now kept secret to prevent further tragedies. Then there is the statue carved from limestone known as the Goddess of Death, or the woman from Lem families who owned it experienced large-scale tragedy, sudden deaths wiping out entire households. 3 separate families suffered devastating losses after taking the statue into their homes. Museums that displayed it recorded staff members falling ill or dying unexpectedly. Today it sits behind protective glass where visitors can view it, but never touch it. From statues to paintings, one of the most disturbing pieces of cursed artwork is known as the Hands Resist Him, a painting showing a young boy beside a doll-like figure and countless ghostly hands pressing against a glass door behind them. Owners of the painting reported figures moving inside the frame, the boy's expression changing, and even sensations of sickness or dread while standing nearby. Some said the painting caused nightmares so vivid they had to remove it from their homes. When it went up for sale online, the sellers included a warning that the painting was haunted, but that didn't stop thousands from bidding out of morbid curiosity. Curses don't always attach themselves to handcrafted objects. Sometimes they cling to things we use every day, like a phone number. In Bulgaria, a single phone number was linked to the deaths of multiple owners, each dying under bizarre circumstances not long after receiving the number. After several incidents, the phone company disabled the number entirely, refusing to assign it again. Urban legend or not, it remains one of the few phone numbers in history to be officially retired due to rumors of a curse. In a grand Rhode Island mansion, there exists a cluster of antique chairs in a ballroom that many visitors refuse to sit in. People report sudden chills, invisible shoves, and an overwhelming sense of unease. Some claim to have been physically pushed from the chairs by something unseen. While skeptics argue the mansion's old foundation and drafts could explain the sensations, believers insist the furniture holds the energy of previous residents, or something more sinister. Another cursed painting known as The Anguished Man is said to have been created with a mixture of oil paint and the artist's own blood. Shortly after finishing the artwork, the artist died by suicide. the family who inherited the painting, experienced unexplained screams, bangs, and shadowy figures moving around their home. Once the painting was hidden away, the activity ceased, only to resume whenever it was brought back into the light. One of the most feared objects in the traveling museum of the paranormal is the Dark Mirror, an antique black scrying mirror. Visitors claim they see horrifying visions reflected back at them, including images of their own deceased bodies. Skeptics argue it's the power of suggestion, but many witnesses swear that what they saw felt too distinct to be imagination. From antique mirrors to Gothic sculptures, the carving known as Old Nick has a reputation tied to revenge. Built to stare directly at a church, the stone figure earned a legend when the church later burned down while Old Nick's building survived untouched. Some believe the sculptor cursed it intentionally, and now the figure sits behind glass, more for the protection of people than for the protection of the statue. At the Galvez Hotel hangs a portrait of Bernardo de Galvez that guests swear watches them with shifting eyes. Photographs come out blurred unless the subject politely asks permission first, an odd superstition, but one taken seriously by staff and visitors alike. Many claim to feel a presence following them after standing too close to the painting. The Koh-i-Noor diamond, another gemstone tied to violent history, is believed to bring misfortune only to men. Throughout centuries, male rulers who possessed it fell in battle, lost empires, or suffered grave misfortunes. Women, however, were said to be immune. The diamond now rests in the British Royal Collection, worn exclusively by queens and never by kings. James Dean's Porsche, nicknamed Little Bastard, became legendary for its cursed reputation after the actor died behind its wheel. Parts of the wrecked vehicle were sold off, and almost every person who acquired a piece suffered serious accidents or death. The shell of the car itself vanished mysteriously and has never been found. And finally, we visit the realm of haunted dolls again with a figure known as Retta. Discovered buried beneath an old house, the doll was named Let Him Out because of how frequently it seemed to move on its own. Its owner reported footsteps, shifting objects, and scuff marks the size of tiny shoes. People who encountered Letta claimed to see its face change expressions, and one interviewer swore the doll moved in her lap. Each of these objects sits at the uncomfortable crossroads between history and horror. Some are protected behind glass, some kept in vaults, and others are left hidden because no one wants to risk being the next to experience the wrath. Whether these curses are real or simply the echoes of tragedies preserved in physical form, they've left behind stories that continue to chill even the most hardened skeptics. If you enjoyed exploring the dark histories behind these mysterious objects, make sure to subscribe to the channel. There are countless more stories waiting, stranger, darker, and more unbelievable than you can imagine. And who knows, maybe the next cursed item is sitting quietly in someone's attic right now, waiting to be discovered.